is powered by Jesus. It's Vid Dog Radio inside the kennel, produced by Money Bin.
Look out below, he's about to break the sound barrier.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special Monday morning live inside the kennel with myself, Vin Dog Radio, a Money Bin production. Please like and follow the podcast on podbean.com. We're broadcasting live worldwide on YouTube, Twitter, and all other platforms. And we thank you so much for being here. And this is a special morning because we have one of my best friends. Yes, we're becoming a brotherhood as we keep in touch with one another. And, you know, we're into saving America. It is my good brother, Mr. Sheriff Mark Lamb. Good morning.
Good morning, brother. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Same here. I appreciate you being here. Now, we are going to get into some cool stuff, you know, because the people from the Leftorium, they just keep giving us more ammunition every second, or shall I say every millisecond of the day. How about a Texas school district taking out the CRT curriculum from their classrooms? Do you see a little bit of that going on in Arizona?
Never been in there in the first place, but we do. I'm sure it's going on. Issues with it in our county that have been at least brought to my attention. I'm not certainly. I think there's some spots in the state, probably in Phoenix or maybe Tucson. I just don't feel like there's any place for that. I just think that it's meant to make them feel bad for things, and we shouldn't be doing any of that.
Yeah, to me personally, I think it's like reverse. It's like taking us back 100 years from where we've been already.
Well, and it just creates division, and I think that the division, we need to come together. The same people that tell you they want to bring everybody together are asking you for everything. And that should, I don't know how the common person can't see that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you were at the Save America rally going for Mr. 45 himself. You were getting the crowd riled up, defending the Second Amendment, which is a big issue in the oligarch of Washington right now. They want to destroy the Second Amendment so that they can take away the first all the way.
Put it into perspective for you, and this is why I'm so passionate about the Second Amendment. First of all, the founding that they were doing right after the First Amendment, after they protected your God-given freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, the right to peace. They came right back after it and said, look, we're also going to give you the right to bear arms, or I should say that because they didn't give us anything. We're going to give you we're going to protect your right to bear arms. They understood the importance of this, and they did it so that you can protect yourself, and then also so that you can protect yourself against a tyrannical government. Now, believe is that guns are a lot more dangerous than they are. Typically, from rifle deaths, we see 450 deaths across this country per year. With they say that there's 20 million AR-15 rifles out there alone, 450 deaths caused by rifles. Well, on the same hand, 100,000+ that have been caused by fentanyl poisonings. And yet for the most part, I haven't heard especially the Congress and the Senate talk about how big this problem is in America. They're too busy trying to figure out how they can take 450 deaths in our country and not do anything about what is causing. That should tell you this is all politics for them. They don't really care about the people. It's really.
Uh-oh, Sheriff Lamb, I think you froze on me, my friend.
No, I'm good. I got you.
Oh, okay.
I just stopped talking, and I thought.
So, yeah, now you're speaking of the whole fentanyl thing. Now, I know you guys have been dealing with the same things that, you know, Californians have been dealing with, and people in Texas and you know, concerning the border. And a lot of this fentanyl is coming into the country, and it seems like the regime cares nothing about that. They just want everybody to come in. And I heard there's like over 5 million that have came through so far over the past couple of years. Am I right on that?
Least 3 million that
Hmm.
they've apprehended over 2 million in a year, and then you have your gotaways, which are about 1 million. You got to believe that there's actually probably more than at least twice that came into this country. So gotaways is a major problem. The human trafficking. I said this before on your show. It's not about immigration. This is about human trafficking and drug. They're enslaving these people. The cartels are enslaving these people, and our government control the border and do their job, which is what they've been tasked with as public servants. Their omission is allowing this human trafficking and drug trafficking to occur before. And basically, what's happening is we're seeing modern day these people being in cells, and yet I've heard our president say virtually nothing about it. And I haven't heard him mention fentanyl one time, and it's Americans.
Wow.
So these people are so lost; they're out of touch, and they're the ones doing politics 101 and 102 and 103 and.
Hmm. Let me ask you this. Have you spoken with the potential candidate for governor of Arizona, Carrie Lake, and what are her thoughts on everything that's going on right now?
Well, I love Carrie. Carrie's a friend. She decided to run for governor, and obviously, I just appreciate everything she stands for. Roxy, the woman is a strong woman, and she's just as discussed Arizona and an American out there. Contrary to what the media wants to tell you, with what we're seeing, we're fed up. High price gas prices, inflation, we didn't stand, and all these other things. And especially here in Arizona, we're fed up with all the border, which is putting an undue pressure and work on us in the state of Arizona that we shouldn't have to deal with. Addressed 10 years ago through SB 1070 and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and the federal government. And the Ninth Circuit ruled that it was the federal government's job and their job alone to secure our border. So they need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I know that, Mr. 45, he was building a wall. I mean, that was supposed to help, solve part of the issue. Um, the Border Patrol agents didn't have to worry about being under so much scrutiny. Um, the men and women of ICE were doing their jobs. And now it's like America is under siege. It's insane right now.
Yeah, and I want women of Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection and ICE going out and doing the best they can. The problem is not them. The problem is not the problem is in Washington D.C. The problem is Secretary Mayorkas is the Border Patrol Commissioner Magnus. These are the guys that are not doing their job and failing the American people, and that guys have become glorified babysitters and transport units for all the people that they're allowing border policies.
Hmm. Yeah. And the thing is, uh, a lot of the state governors, for one, Gavin Newsom of California, you have Glitter Whitmer in Michigan, and others like her. They capitulate to things like this, and they're just like tearing things down left and right, and they make it hard for sheriffs in their states to get a hold on things. Now, let me ask you this, and I don't know if this is true or not. Is it true that the people of the states that they live in can issue an arrest warrant for their governors for tyranny.
I don't know. Laws are different, so I don't know what all the other states' laws are. I mean, you would put together on a governor, and it would have to fall within some state statute, and prove that with evidence that that was happening. Now, could the state charges where they may have failed to do their job or admitted something? Yeah, but that's not that easy. And I think people get this can just walk down to the Capitol and arrest the governor for something, and it really doesn't work that with the laws and what are on the books, and you have to put a case together, and you have to show. You'd have to jury and have a grand jury decide that this is going to be what you're going to do. So, yeah, there's.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad you explained that well, because a lot of people have kind of misconstrued that situation about getting governors arrested and all this other stuff, and I just wanted to clarify that.
If
Now,
I could just add a little bit more to that. So, a lot of states, for example, in Arizona, authority throughout the state, but in a lot of places, that authority county. You go outside of the county unless you have an agreement with the surrounding counties more. And so you would only be able to really put a case together if it affected your county. Attorney General's office, where you could collectively put it against a sitting elected or something. So.
Yes. Now, I see that someone is just texting me and they said, "Hey, ask Sheriff Lamb to talk about his book that's coming out in October." I'm like, "Okay, I will do that. Let's do it." So,
yeah,
about the book.
Whoever that is, thank you. I wrote a book a couple years ago called American Sheriff: Traditional Values in a Modern World. Just tried to talk about common sense things that I think are common. I think values that we've learned. My wife wrote a book called The Sheriff's Wife, Holding It All Together Behind the Scenes in Politics. It's happened, that, Vinny, over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So much has happened that I just felt the book, and I'm going to work on one more and try to get one more out this year. But this one, until about 2 days ago. And I think the title is going to be American Sheriff's Rule. And it's based on the poem by Rudyard Kipling, If. It's a great poem. Tell stories from the founding fathers and apply those to the concepts that are the lessons that are contained in the poem If, and then share some personal stories and some. Well, hopefully people will like it. It's going to be. I don't like writing super long books. Read them, and so this will be about 150 page book, an easy read, something from here back to New York or something like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to launch October 5th. And so pretty soon here over the next couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing me and getting all that lined out.
That's awesome. We're going to have to bring you back on too right before the release of the book. Because we got to talk about this even more. I want people to buy the book and your other.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I. I do self-publish, because when you get a publisher, they start to tell you what you can and cannot say and where you can go and sell. And I don't want that. I want to be able to sell my books. I don't want what I say or speech to affect the ability to sell those books. And so we pay up front to get our books published, and then we just rely on the people to find our book. The way I do it will probably never put me on the bestseller list, but at least people are able to read it. And hopefully Americans will find peace and comfort in the fact of knowing that there's still good common sense leadership in this country that want the best for this country, and who believe in the values that this country was built.
Right. 100%. 100%. Now, I like the fact that I have the freedom to, talk about whatever I want to speak on this show. And I just wanted people to understand, like, what keeps you and your family so level and grounded? Like, is it your faith, or just explain it? It's awesome just to see.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, we try. We certainly try hard. Our belief in God and Jesus Christ, and our belief in that this country Constitution has God's stamp of approval on it. We love freedom. We think freedom is things, and I think I've always had a saying that where a man stands for freedom, he stands for God. Freedom, he stands with God. And where a man stands alone for freedom, he still just have felt that freedom is something special that we as a family are, and all of us in our family, my wife and our kids, we all have that same love and passion for firearms. That this is what we believe in, and so I found it. And then life, when you start thinking you're a little special, life has a way of reminding you're not that special, and so we just try to stay that other people can connect with, and we are real people. We are, and we believe in what we believe, and I'm not trying to be and there's peace and comfort in that, because it allows me to just do my job without worrying about political ramifications might be for what stance I might take.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess somebody is telling me that there's a little bit of skippage going on in our feed.
What?
It's probably it's probably the oligarchs trying to stop us from, speaking out on, truth. And that's one thing I love speaking out on, Sheriff Lamb, is the truth. And I love, brothers like you who can come on with me and talk about these things, because there is a lot of division going on, and people are saying that, you know that America is a racist country, and that's totally bogus. I mean, are you serious? I mean, come on, there are people that have been innovators in this country from all walks of life.
Yeah, the same people that are the true race baiters. They're the ones that are in political office right now. The mainstream media divide us as a people, as Americans, and they're using race, religion, politics on Roe versus Wade, your beliefs on guns, all of those things, topic items. And so what they do is they light a fire under it, and then they start going at each other for it. Look at COVID was the perfect example. They people against the American people. So if you chose not to wear a mask, to come in and really tell you that the people out there in public, fellow Americans, which they did, what we've got to do is we've got to get back to realizing that we're all in this together. There's enemies, and it's okay that we're of different skin colors and backgrounds and cultural upbringings. That's what makes America great and strong. Such an eclectic history here in this country that have come together under what? The love of freedom. That's why we've come together. And the politicians, because they're full of crap. This isn't, because if it was bad, 300,000 plus people would not be showing up at our southern border every month, country for a better life. This is still the greatest country in the world. No other country has showing up at their borders every month to try to experience that the American. So this is still the greatest country. We got our problems, we got to fix it, but they start getting fixed, and we're not each other's enemies.
As a matter of fact, you are correct on that. And Ronald Reagan said the biggest destruction of America will come from within, and that's what it seems like right now.
Well, they've always said the founding fathers knew. A lot of the politicians throughout time knew it. The same issue. Rome didn't fall from an enemy. Rome fell from within. And if you go back, Rome fell. What caused the fall of Rome? It is a lot of the same issues that we're dealing. I'm not going to go down the list because I don't want to get into a whole other. Trust me, go through and read the fall of Rome, and you'll start to realize we are doing the same thing.
Yeah, we definitely are doing the same thing. And it's unfortunate that people are really capitulating to it. And you know what? And you realize at the end of the day, when you start to get out in the public eye, that there's only a small percentage of people that have really capitulated to what the government is trying to throw out there.
I always ask those people, well, would you be doing the same things if this was President Trump telling you to do those things? Fighting tooth and nail. Let me tell you, if President Trump would have been the president and he would have actually mandates, the left would have lost their minds. They would have never have done it. Politics, they were lockstep and they were forcing everybody else to get it. And so it's people got to just let other people live their lives. That's really the key. Like, I don't agree with. And I'll never tolerate bad behavior, but I'm not going to hate you that you got to love one another, but I don't believe that me tolerating things morally wrong, that I should have to tolerate your behavior. I'm just not. You go do your thing and live your life, and I'll do my thing, and we don't really have to cross paths away. Don't get into my life. All right, we have a chief here, and I always tease Brian, and I always say I'm going to do a T-shirt that says Brian's Rules of Business. Mind yours.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I love it. That's awesome. I love that. You should do that.
That's it. The two rules of business: mind yours and stay the F out of mine.
And that's the ticket. You know, I always say that it really does matter who you elect as leadership in your local areas, in your cities, in your counties, because it all boils down to the last line of defense for the people of their counties are guys like you, the sheriffs. So it's very important that people elect guys like yourself, like Grady Judd. I mentioned that guy, and Chad Bianco, because it's, you know, a lot of sheriffs around the country are actually the last lines of defense to the people, and they are the constitutionalist, and they don't have to answer to the government.
Absolutely, there's power in the office of sheriff because we are elected, and we don't work for the governor, we don't work for the president, we don't work for the board of super city councils. We work directly for the people. And I will tell you, Vinny, there's across this country. What most people don't realize is when you get out to the West Coast, our land-wise, they're very big, population-wise. When you go back into the Midwest, a lot of these states have a ton of counties, and the counties are very small, but they're really small counties, so they just don't ever really hit the media, and you don't really hear about them. There's a lot of great sheriffs across this country protecting, and you're right, local elections, a lot of the mask mandates, vaccine mandates, all of those things, they're by local governments, by your city councils, by your county boards that really overstepped their bounds at the behest of the government. And so the government was going to give them a bunch of COVID money. That's why they did the things they did. So local government is going to put America first and protect the American people's rights and freedoms, especially as it relates to sheriffs.
That is great. I'm glad you said it all right there. So what's next on the big agenda for you right now?
We're working on a lot of things. I mean, right now we're working on trying to do election integrity. Understand, and this is not a Republican or a Democrat thing. It shouldn't matter what party you are. You should elections. I think all of us have been increasingly, growingly more uncomfortable of what we've allowed our voting systems to become. And I think that the sheriffs across this country to make sure that we're doing what we can to protect these elected, the people's vote matters. I think this is one of the most sacred things that we have as Americans is our ability to the right people in office. And so I think it's important that we protect. I've taken a lot of heat over it. I'm working with True the Vote and a group called Vote. And all we were trying to do is just educate people as to what voter states, what might be some potential violations of voting laws, sheriffs to act when there is a violation of a voting law, and hold people accountable to believing in our election system.
Amen and amen. Man, that is so awesome. I'm glad you're doing that. That's cool. So, are you still working on the TV series?
So we're ramping back up work. We've been looking at making some changes on it. On the new live PD, I think it's called On Patrol Live. They haven't reached out to me. I'm not sure that network, and I don't know that they love that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I just wanted to avoid doing it. I didn't make any money. I've lost money on it, and I was just really trying to do it to for all the men and women who put on the badge every day and show the good work that they do, as opposed to politicians just beat us up nonstop and dictate the narrative on it. And so, and I think anything that brings a positive light to and a transparent light to.
Mm-hmm. All right. So this is something that I wanted to discuss. Um, Going back to the whole issue with the border crisis, um, I noticed that there's a huge problem that people aren't talking about, and that's a lot of people that are being sent over here, like for sex trafficking and all that other stuff, and it's really bad, right?
Well, this this is really modern day slavery.
Mm-hmm.
They're forcing the into, especially the women, into the slave trade, the sex slave trade here in America, using the children as pawns, and then oftentimes putting the children in to as well. The sex trafficking, they're extorting the men and forcing the men on the other side, and so they became they're slaves to the cartels until they. And so what we're seeing it is slavery, which is not, and our government's doing nothing about it. You know, they're just turning their a blind eye to it. They're doing it under the guise of, hey, we're trying to be humane. No, you're not. Advantage of, because you didn't secure our border. And so human smuggling, human trafficking is that, and unfortunately these people are the victims of it. And we're better than that, as to put politics in front of people. We should be protecting our borders. So these people, and by from the cartels, the cartels have zero value for human life. Most time when you talk about the cartels, people think about the drugs that they're bringing into this. But here's the thing about drugs. Drugs you can sell one time. People you can sell over. Women and children forced into the sex trade here in America, those guys are seeing money for the cartels over and over and over and over and over again. With here in America, and American people are completely blind to it. I don't know what it's going to take to what's going on. Hopefully the people listening today will understand this problem is.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because It is a major issue, and it actually gets thrown under the rug by the media, unfortunately. And I'm just like, okay, it's nice that you're going to talk about a shark reaching the shores, but come on, let's get down to the real issue here. And that's one of the major problems right now.
Oh, it's absolutely. The cartels make more money off of human smuggling than they are off of drugs. Drugs, they're selling more than they've ever sold before too. So it's not like they're selling more drugs than they've ever sold, and they're more and more dangerous drugs, which colored fentanyl pills now. They're clearly catering those to the children, to the youth problem. And I would just, one more thing, I would say when you're talking about fentanyl, and I'm not saying you, Vinny, I'm just saying to anybody out there listening, these are fentanyl poison. It's not fair to the families to call them overdoses, because a lot of these were kids that took one pill, a Xanax or something else. These are cocaine addicts who now took cocaine because the cartel's putting fentanyl in all of their products to increase addictability right off. These are fentanyl poisonings. The cartels are poisoning American lives to the tune of, think about if they were to drop a bomb into one of the major cities and kill 100,000 people, what would we do as Americans?
Oh, we fight back.
We'd run rough to war for 20 years for what happened at 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, I do not want to demean or take away the loss of any of those lives that day, but those people that lost their lives. We're losing 100,000 plus a year right now and our president hasn't said a word about it.
And I'm pretty sure he won't say a word about it. That's just the way it is in Washington. We have to expect that from the oligarch in Washington. The Biden regime just won't say anything or do anything about it. I just don't have any faith in those guys. So what do people do to to troubleshoot this situation? I mean, I think people need to get active some way somehow, right?
Well, always control a lot of the depression and anxiety and this life comes from trying to control an outcome you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell anybody listening, you can't do it in Washington D.C. What Congress and the Senate or what the president is doing. Right. Control is your attitude and your work output in your own life and in your own community. I order, make sure you're doing good, get your thoughts right, calm down. You can help based on what skill sets you might have. Some of you should run for office. Some of you have money. You could give money. Some of you can go past, but it is important that if you love freedom, you got to get active. Write letters to your Congress. Be that person that is active. I tried to pass an anti-DUI in Arizona, and it was a pretty simple bill. Like everybody should be on board with. Leagues of town and cities did not like the bill, and we dropped the bill on like a Thursday. Sunday night, over 300 people against our bill, saying that they were on the police bill, had signed in opposition of our bill for it. So they know what to do. They mobilize their resources, and most good people aren't doing any of that, and that's why the situation we're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're totally in a pickle right now. But you know what, people, all you need to do is just take a stand, and like Sheriff Lamb said, run for local office. Call your politicians in your local towns and counties and states and tell them, hey, look, you need to get into office next time, so you better do what we asked you to do, because the government at the end of the day works for us, not us working for them.
Exactly right.
Man, Sheriff Lamb, I appreciate you coming by, man. And unfortunately, these oligarchs are trying to mess with our digital broadcast. Um,
I feel bad for the people that it's skipping.
yeah, you know what it is. You know what? I just think that they just don't like what you and I are representing, and we're trying to bring people back together the way it's supposed to be.
Which is sad. It's just, people are afraid that truth, they're afraid that other, um, whether that's why it's skipping or not. I'm just grateful to be on truth with you, and hopefully the people that were able to hear it, were able to hear some of it and get.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once again, my good brother, Sheriff Lamb. Yes. You have to come back, though. You do have to come back.
Yeah, let me know. Schedule's tight, but we found it. We found some time today.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And yeah, we're still on for that barbecue rib lunch when you come to California too.
Let's do it. I might hit you up so we can come back on before the book drops.
Yes, indeed. We're definitely going to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Lamb, thank you all for listening. God bless you. God bless America. Do me a favor. Take care and love one another, and like and share this broadcast with friends, neighbors, and family members, because you will get something out of it. Take care of one another.